My work search strategy features three core stages, the first of which identifies lucrative openings with high quality employers before anyone else has got to them. This is simpler to do than most job hunters might imagine, and if you can answer two basic questions, you'll go a long way towards achieving this. Once you understand the importance of these questions and their corresponding answers, you'll be in prime position to move on to the second and third stages to the process. In today's tutorial, I want to talk about the reasons that this pair of questions is crucial to finding work opportunities, how you should go about asking them, and why the answers form the foundation of everything that subsequently happens in your job search project. This is day 23 of the 40-day job search. Hello, I'm Neil Grant, the person behind the Vocation Master Training Programme, and I help you do better work. If you're looking for an employed position with a private sector organisation, you've come to the right place, because I'm going to show you how to transform your professional future by taking complete control of your next job search. Everything you get in this tutorial series is taken from my complete job search masterclass. You'll find syllabus and enrolment details for that at my website, where you can also take advantage of my free Job Interview Secrets video course. You get 3 hours of information, advice and action plans that go straight to the heart of my job interview strategy. I used to charge $99 for this short course, but I'm now making it available to you without any charge whatsoever, to say thank you for showing interest in what I do and as an insight into how I work. If you want to nail any kind of job interview, you can't afford to miss out on this unique material. So just go to vocationmaster.com for free and immediate access. If you enjoy this video, please like and subscribe, and consider sharing it with other job searchers in your network. Thank you, and I really appreciate your help in supporting my channel. Alright, well, these messages out of the way, here's today's tutorial. Finding raw work opportunities that perfectly fit your criteria is a key job search objective. If you've been with me from the start of this tutorial series, you'll already have an idea of what's involved. But you have to follow the guidelines that I set out to be sure of succeeding. I've presented a few of the preliminaries over the last couple of days or so, and tomorrow I'm going to think about the mechanics of the process. I'll do this by introducing you to a straightforward method of narrowing and refining a huge number of potential employment options. But before we get to that, there's an important concept that you need to get your head around, which is what I'll cover today. If you can button down this idea, the rest of the process of locating fantastic work opportunities will easily slot into place. And this applies to virtually any job that almost every employer needs to have done. It doesn't matter how low or how high you are on a company hierarchy. You could be an entry-level worker or a board director, and you could be looking for any kind of private sector employee position. Oh, and incidentally, you might be wondering why I make this specification about the private sector. Simply because most organisations within the public sector hire new employees in a way that's resistant to the strategies that are essential components of my system. The public sector tends to be extremely bureaucratic by its very nature. It almost always requires you to wait for a vacancy to be advertised. You have no choice but to submit a CV, resume or application form, then take your chances against multiple candidates at interview. This isn't how I do things. If you want to join a public sector employer, you'll certainly benefit from some of the things I teach you, but you'll have to forget about others. I don't want you to waste your time or money on a training system that isn't particularly designed for this employment sector. And nor do I aim my job search system at self-employed people for a variety of reasons. But if you're still with me because you're going after a strictly private sector position, well, let's continue with ways of finding a great job opportunity. Almost without exception, the only reason that an employer takes on a new member of staff is because they've got a problem that has to be solved. It could be a major problem that threatens the very existence of the business, right through to a seemingly inconsequential issue that's no more than an irritation. But the problem will exist in some shape or form. Your task is to identify this problem and to then come up with a viable solution. Now, in the introduction to this tutorial, I said that you must ask 2 questions, and those questions are these. First, what is the most pressing business problem that an employer has in relation to your particular area of knowledge and expertise? Second, how can you go some way towards solving it? Asking the 2 questions is the easy bit. Discovering the answers is where the difficulty lies. But until you've done so, you can't proceed any further with finding work opportunities. You shouldn't be dismayed about this challenge. Hardly any average job applicants do what I'm going to tell you about later in this tutorial series. Mainly because they don't think it's worth the effort, or because they don't realise how important it is. However, you'll do things differently if you're serious about finding great work with a fantastic employer. My 30+ years of experience in recruiting, interviewing and associated training tells me that the overwhelming majority of job hunters pay scant attention to this stage of their work search. They skim over the problems that target employers face, happy to settle for the most generic type of business issues that could easily be predicted without too much difficulty. I'll give you a couple of examples. If they're in a sales role of some sort, they may decide that the biggest problem is not shifting enough commodity. If they're in logistics, they might believe that the major challenge is getting products to customers on time. They arrive at these hugely generalized conclusions on the basis that every company wants to sell more, deliver faster, and so on. These sorts of judgments might be true at a macro level, but this superficial analysis simply doesn't cut it when it comes to a highly targeted job search. This isn't identifying a problem. It's a lazy description of a common characteristic within a particular business category. A common factor amongst ordinary job hunters is a willingness to make sweeping assumptions about business problems, not to put in the work that's required to complete this activity properly. Instead of digging deep into what's going on inside an employer they like the look of, they think they can wing it when it comes to sweet talking an interviewer into hiring them. You mustn't fall into this trap. Now, the first part of this activity is quite simple. All you have to do is keep the first question at the front of your mind as you investigate possible work opportunities. As a reminder of that question, what is the single most pressing business problem that looms over any potential new employer, so long as it's one that sits squarely within your sphere of work activity? How you successfully answer this question, which happens when you've found this problem, is something I'll introduce in tomorrow's tutorial and others that follow later in this series. Naturally, I give complete guidance about business problem discovery in my job search masterclass. The second part of the activity is asking yourself how you can best solve the problem you've identified. The answer to this will be centered upon your skills, expertise, and experience. You might remember that I spoke about the primacy of skills over passions on day 12 of this series. This is where a thorough assessment of your rarest and most unique work skills bears fruit. So, review that tutorial if you need a refresher on this topic, but I'll be returning to it in upcoming ones too. Alright, well, let me wrap this very concise introduction up. In summary, the reason that you must be clear about the most pressing problem that a business faces is that knowing this will point to their strongest motivation to hire you, provided that you can offer them a plausible solution. This will become your guiding star, your light as you conduct your research into potential new employers. You do this by asking yourself two questions. What is their problem and what is your solution? The appropriate answers will lead you ever onwards, eventually to your principal employment target. In the next tutorial, I'll talk about the mechanics of discovering the organisations that have problems you can solve. I'll be introducing you to a method of sifting and sorting an enormous number of potential employers until just a handful of golden nuggets remain. So that's all coming along then. If you prefer to listen to training materials rather than watching them, all of these job search tutorials are available in audio format. Search for the Vocation Cast wherever you get your podcasts and via my Vocation Master website, of course. You'll find written versions of these tutorials there too. Well, thanks for being with me, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.